Hi, this is Ishfaq Khan, and in this session, I'm gonna tell you how can you implement QuickBooks Desktop for construction companies. This is a complete guide for implementing QuickBooks Desktop for your construction contracts. So it starts from very beginning preference setting, chart of account till end to reporting. So all these are the outline that we are going to discuss in this session, including job costing of the expenses, how we will recognize the revenue, all these things with the help of an example. Okay, so this example will be complete from very beginning till end. I'm going to implement this example in QuickBooks Desktop so that you would have no confusion once you will finish this session. Watching this session, you will be able to implement QuickBooks Desktop for construction contracts. Alright, so let's start. So let's start with, so first of all, you will have to do some basic preference settings for construction companies. Just go to edit, click on preferences, and on the company preferences, make sure that you have enabled classes if you want to use. Similarly, you can also use, if you want to use account number, I will definitely recommend it. You can also enable it. Okay, but I'm not doing it at this moment, but I will definitely recommend that you should use account numbers. Okay, and just make sure you clicked it. Okay, once you are done it, just click OK. Then again go to edit, click on preferences, and in the inventory item and inventory, make sure that you have clicked on here inventory and purchase orders are active. Okay, in this way you will be able to track your inventory, otherwise you will not be able to. This will help you. You are purchasing some inventory and keeping it with yourself in your stock room, and then you are using that inventory for different projects. Maybe you are purchasing some items and those items are being used in 3, 4 or 5 projects. So just make sure that you have clicked on it. Okay, then again go to the preferences, edit, then preferences, and here you will click on job and estimates, click on company preferences, and make sure that you have clicked on do progressive invoicing. Okay, click OK. Then again go to edit, preferences. What I normally do is that I just make sure that I clicked on this, untick this, use undeposited fund as default deposit account. So what happens is that if you keep ticked this, all the payments that you are receiving will go first to undeposited fund, and then you have to make adjusting entries, and then so to make your life simple, just untick it. Then what will happen, then you will get an option for bank as well, so you can directly deposit in your bank. Okay, yeah, these all, just click OK. So once you are done with this basic level preference setting, then we will go for chart of account. All right, now let's see about how we will do chart of account for a construction company in QuickBooks Desktop. But before going for that, let me have a brief description or brief concept about the chart of account of a construction company. If we see on the revenue side, we have contract revenue or revenue from the projects, right? And as far as cost of the project is concerned, or cost of goods sold in construction contract, is what? Cost of the contracts or cost of the projects. And if we are talking about the cost of the projects, this is divided into two parts or two components. One is direct cost, the other is indirect cost. These are also called overheads. So let me explain it to you a bit further. So cost of project is divided into two parts, cost of projects. Okay, so we have two parts. One is direct cost, the other is indirect cost or overheads. So these are the cost like labor, material. if we see over here, these are the direct cost: labor, material, tools, equipment, subcontractor. These are the resources that are directly being used in that project. And similarly, suppose we have a supervisor that is handling 5 or 6 projects. This is your indirect cost or overhead. Rent of the accommodation in which all the laborers are being accommodated or living, this is indirect cost. Foreman salaries, insurance of the employees, visa cost, and all these are the, because these labor or these your supervisor are working on different projects, so this is our overhead. So we have we have revenue, and from the revenue we are deducting cost of the projects, and this cost of the project is divided into two parts: direct cost and indirect cost. Direct cost is, you can know from the name, very directly being implemented on the project, and indirect cost are the overheads. Once we deduct it, we get the gross profit. Then we have general and admin expenses, and after that we have net profit. So all this concept we are gonna implement in QuickBooks Desktop. Come on, let's start. Okay, so first of all, go to the list in the chart of account. Let's do entries for this direct cost. Okay, say material, and then I have labor. Let me use this. Then I have tools. Then I have subcontractor cost. This is subcontractor cost, is the cost that we sublet to somebody else to do our work, okay, for that project. So then we have subcontractor cost. I have this. Okay, now what I will do, I will make this as main head and this as sub head. Okay, so let me make new. I'll click on account, click on new, and here I will select cost of goods sold. Here I will select what? Direct cost. Okay, now I will make it sub account of this. Just click here, sub account of direct cost of projects, sub account of direct cost. Now similarly, we are done with that. Similarly, I will create another head as overhead and indirect cost, and then I will make sub account of that. Okay, just click here and click save and close. Now go here, account, new, click here, cost of goods sold, continue, and from here you can say supervisor salaries. Here you can indirect. Again, one thing I want to mention is that suppose you have a supervisor that is specifically working on one single project solely for the purpose of that project, then it will become direct cost. It will automatically goes to here. So it is the professional judgment, it is your judgment to decide what is direct cost and what is overhead. So there are no hard and fast rules. Okay, so you have to be smart enough professionally to decide. Okay, then rent of accommodation. These are just examples so that you can fully understand the concept. Okay, all right, now I'm done with creating this overhead indirect cost, and under that I have created all these overhead cost in QuickBooks Desktop with the type as cost of goods sold. Okay, and similarly I have created direct cost with this. Okay, this. So these two are created. Now let's go for general and admin expenses. So I will create now general and admin expenses. Let me delete the extra one. Just create one account as new expense. Type would be expense, and then here these are general and admin expenses. I will just make sub account because I have already, so I will just make sub account of general and admin expenses. Similarly, right now I have created, as I told you, direct cost. Under that, these direct cost. Overhead, under that I have overhead. And similarly, just now I have created these as well, general and admin expenses, and under general and admin expenses I have the general and admin expenses detail. Okay, so this was the expense side. Okay, and this type of this is expense, and these both, the type of these both are cost of goods sold. Okay, let me amend it, construction income with revenue from projects. Okay, all right. You can also create one more account as cost of goods sold with cost of the projects. Okay, and make these two as sub account of them, so then you will have more detailed oriented cost of projects chart of account. Okay, cost of projects. Okay, now let's see how does it will look like once we will be able to create the profit and loss account. Just go to the reports, company financial. I haven't entered anything, but I want to see how does my chart of account look like. Okay, customize, and I have option somewhere here to see amount with zeros as well. Okay, now if you see over here, how does my chart of account look like? You can see I have in the income section I have revenue from projects. Okay, and then I have I cannot avoid this cost of goods sold because it is by default. I have cost of projects. Under the cost of projects I have direct cost, and I have total direct cost here, total, and then I have overhead or indirect cost. Okay, if you see over here, then I have total overhead, and then I have total project cost, which is this plus this, and then I have GP because that will be deducted. So I have a very detailed oriented chart of account. Okay, similarly if you see here in the expenses I have general and admin expenses. This is how my chart of account would look like once I will implement this. All right, now we have done. Now the next step is we will set up VAT for construction companies, specifically in QuickBooks Desktop. So let's see how we will set up the VAT. Okay, before setting up, one thing I want to discuss with you is that I have a previous video how to set up VAT in QuickBooks Desktop. In that video you can see VAT somewhere here around the total value, but I will set up VAT in a different way when we are dealing for the construction companies. To say, if we use that method that I have already have a video in which VAT is being shown over here, we cannot adjust those amount. But the method that I'm gonna tell you right now, it is specifically for the construction companies. So if you are dealing in the construction companies and you have invoices with VAT, with retention, with advance adjustment, then I will suggest you have to use this method. Now let's start to set up VAT in QuickBooks Desktop for construction company. Okay, first of all you have to go to list in the chart of account. In the previous method, what we are doing, we are using this sales tax for the VAT, but in this method we are not gonna touch this. Okay, so let's start. Go to the list in the chart of account, just create one account as VAT control account. Okay, with other current liability. VAT control account. Okay, the type would be other current liability. Okay, and then click save and close. Then create two more accounts under this VAT control account, VAT input and VAT output. Okay, the type would be other current liability. Okay, continue. Here you will write VAT output. Okay, just give it 01 so it is easy to enter, and you will make it sub account of VAT control account. Sub account of VAT control account, other current liability, name as VAT output. Okay, save and new. Here again you will make 02 VAT input. Okay, and sub account of VAT control account, and the same way. This is the step 1. You have created VAT control account, and under VAT control account you have VAT output and VAT input. This is your step number 1. The step number 2 is, in the same fashion you will create items. Okay, go to the list. In the item list, in the item you will create new, and here you will choose other charge. Okay, please don't get confused because it's a very specific method with here any other item or sales tax item, or no, just click other charge, and here you will write VAT output. Okay, and here you can write 5%. Okay, and here this is important, here you have to link it with the chart of account with VAT output that was a sub account of VAT control account. Okay, VAT control account and VAT output, here you will choose this. Okay, VAT control account, and under VAT control account you will choose VAT output, this here. Okay, and then click OK. You can also see over here as well, VAT output is the item, other charge is the type, and linked with the account in the chart of account is what? VAT control account. Okay, VAT control account, VAT output. Similarly, you have to create another account as other charge, here VAT input. This is item. Okay, and you will link it with VAT input. Okay, and no need to mention here percentage. Why? Because when you are entering the bills at that time, it will not accept the percentage thing, so leave it empty. Click OK. So now your VAT is set up for construction contracts. How we will use it? Okay, I will let you know once we will proceed with the invoices. I will, at that time I'm going to tell you how will you choose VAT input and VAT output when they come across. Okay, so these are the 2 steps we have already implemented. Alright, now the next step is how to add projects. Let's see. Before adding projects, you have to just create, suppose you got some projects. So what you will do, you will just here go to the customer, and the customer create new. What happens is, suppose you have a company ABC that have allotted you some project, just create that company name, because this is the company from which you will receive the money, or this is the company. Then right click and add job. This add job is your project. So one thing, don't forget, just write the code of the project first. Please write the code of the project first. Okay, suppose the code of this project is 1122. Okay, and click, and here this is for building parking floor parking. Okay, click OK. Similarly, if you have another project with the same company, what you will do, just click on this company, don't click on this, then otherwise it will become sub project of this. Just click on it and click add job, and here you will again write the project code, that is, suppose in this case 2211, and this is for what? This is for fireproofing work. You have to do some adjustments and flooring and all this stuff. So protect you from the fire. Okay, so this is the project, this is your customer or your company on which you will invoice, and these are the two your projects. So that is how you will create the projects. Similarly, you can create another company with XYZ, and you can create another job as 2233, and you can say the flooring. Okay, just floor or wall building or bridge building or whatever you want. Okay, whatever kind of project do you have. Okay, so this is how you will add your projects and customers in QuickBooks Desktop. All right, we have done it. Now let's proceed for vendor, suppliers and item setup. So because in this case, now this is important. Suppose this is floor parking, this is our project. What we have to adjust the parking of some building, and then we are constructing it and we are flooring it and we are doing some construction work over there. Now you have many kind of expenses. You have subcontracted expense that we have already created in the chart of account, from which you have sublet your product. Similarly, you have labor, material, other cost. Okay, but one thing I specifically want to mention over here is that you have some kind of items or inventory or material that you purchase and you use on your different projects. Maybe you are using that items on all these projects. Number one thing, how you will deal with that. Number two is that you are providing different kind of services. You are providing variety of services as far as your revenue from project is concerned. Here in the income side, you can say that we have revenue from projects. You are constructing, under the construction you are doing flooring, you are epoxy flooring, you may be doing leveling. There are variety of services. You can see here roofing, farming, concrete, interior wall, and so what you will do in this process is, I have setting up of items I have written over here. In this process you will set up your income items which you will use to earn income, and this is your supplier or vendor, the number of items that you are going to purchase from the item. Okay, so suppose you have purchased some blocks. I will do vendor part first. Just go to the vendor, in the vendor center just create one vendor, and from that vendor you have purchased some items. Okay, blocks vendor. Okay, go to the vendor and enter bills, and you have purchased some blocks. Just add items. So in this way you will also know the items. Go to the list, item list, and in the item you will just create new, and here you will click on inventory item. Okay, this is your inventory part. As I told you in the preference setting, if you wouldn't have enabled, it wouldn't have come. Okay, so and here you will revenue from the project. Here you will add your vendor block, and one block costs you 15. Okay, and you are not selling these blocks. What you are doing, you are using it in your construction. Okay, so just for the sake of understanding, I have given you this example. Okay, now go to the vendor and enter bills, and you will purchase it. These are the items for inventory. Okay, and similarly you are providing some work for suppose you are providing some flooring or roofing. Okay, just go to the new, and the service, click here flooring or roofing or epoxy flooring or whatever, and click from here. You will click here your revenue from the project, and in this way you will create the revenue item. So now this was a brief description of vendors and setting up of the items. We will use it in detail once we come across the practical detail when we are gonna implement this. Now let's move forward for how to add project value. By project value I mean is the purchase order, or once you receive the project summary, when it's once it is confirmed that you have got the project, you have to enter in your system, so you will know that you have already obtained the project and it will be used for creating backlog, or you have a particular detail. What you can do is that once the purchase order is confirmed, you can open a file for a specific project and enter the relevant detail for that project as well, and enter in the system as well. So how you will enter the project value in QuickBooks Desktop, let's see with our example. So we have got this project which has a contract value of 150,000. This is the project code. We have already entered that project code. So step number 1 is you have to enter the customer and the project. We have already entered. How to enter, we already know that. Okay, now the next step is you are entering the project value. What you are gonna do is that just enter and click on create estimates. In the create estimates, you will select the code for that specific project from here. What is the project code? 1122, and here you will select the class may be any classification. You suppose we are running this and the word DXP, and here the item that we are dealing is flooring. You can say that. Just enter the value of 150,000. Okay, and you can add over here VAT output as well. So VAT is 5% and total contract value is 157,000. Okay, here it is. All right, just click save and close. Now the project has been added. You can see list in the chart of account, estimates. You can see over here. One thing that I want to mention over here is that once you have entered the project value or the purchase order of the project, it will not show in any financial statement, either in the profit and loss account or in the balance sheet, because this is non-posting event or non-posting item. If you see over here list in the chart of account, you can say that this is non-posting. Okay, all right, now the next thing is mobilization advance. Once you have got the project, we have got the project over here. If you see 50,000 is the project value, and then we have 20% mobilization advance of this value, this project value. This is our mobilization advance, that is 30,000. Okay, so how we will deal with this? So slowly and gradually we are moving forward now. So there are the steps that you need to follow for the mobilization advance. Before entering the mobilization advance, you have to create some accounts in the QuickBooks. First step is list in the chart of account, create one account as advance against projects, because these are your advances, so you can treat it as other current liability because you haven't performed yet any work, but you are receiving the advance to start or kick up your project, and that amount will be reduced from each invoice. Okay, so advance against project. Okay, and the type would be other current liability, and just click and save. Okay, this is your first step. Second step is go to the list. In the item list, create one item as other charge. Type would be other charge, and here you will write project advance. Okay, or mobilization advance, whatever you call it. Okay, and this is important. Here you will link it with your mobilization advance liability account or advance against project account. Okay, I have linked it here. This is the two steps that you have to do before entering any advances thing. Okay, now coming back on our own example. In our example, we have got the contract of 150,000 and 20% is advance. This is called mobilization advance. What is mobilization advance? This 20% is 30,000. this 30,000 will be deducted once we will invoice them with each invoice 20% of that invoice. Like if our first invoice is 50,000, 20% of 50% will be deducted. Our second invoice is suppose 55,000, 20% of this will be deducted. Our third invoice is suppose 45,000. So with each invoice 20% will be deducted. One thing for sure, I think you know that this 30,000 is not your income. This 30,000 is not your income. This is your liability. This is your unearned income. You have received income in advance. Okay, so now let's proceed forward. Again, for receiving this mobilization advance, there are two methods. Number one method is that you directly receive the advance without any invoice. Okay, and the other method is you bill them, you create an invoice and then you receive the advance. So and the first I will first just make how you will treat it once you are directly receiving. Go to the company, make a journal entry. Okay, suppose you have received this advance on 1st of June. Okay, let me make it 1st of. Suppose you have received this advance on 1st of July. Okay, so how much you are supposed to receive? You will receive 31,500. Why 31,500? Because this 30,000 plus 5% VAT. So this plus this. Okay, as per UAE law, you have to collect the VAT on advance either when you will actually receive the amount or when you will invoice. You have to charge the VAT 5%. So first I'm gonna tell you or teach you when you are actually receiving the advance without any invoicing them. So how you will deal in QuickBooks. So you will just debit what 31,500 with bank. Let me create one bank account. And credit what? Advance against project with how much amount? 30,000. Okay, and VAT output. Now we have started to use this VAT output. Okay, I was telling you. So VAT output with 31,500. So here you will see that payment, payment. Okay, and here you will select your relevant project 11122. Okay, one thing more. Lot of people, what they do is they make advance against project and then under here they create sub account each project. No need for that. You can use the project name over here, and later on if you want to have separate advanced detail project wise, you can always have. I will tell you how. Okay, save and close. Reports, company financial, in the balance sheet you can see that in our bank account there is 31,500 received for that advance, and similarly advance against project, a liability has been created, and VAT output liability is also been created because we have received. Okay, let me add some amount in our bank so that if we are paying expense in the future, so we would have something in the bank. Okay, bank account debit, opening balance equity debit with, let's add 1 million. Now if you see that we have this. Now another thing I want to tell you, this was the one option in which we have just created advance without any invoice. Okay, this is how we done it. Now suppose we have to invoice first and then we will receive the advance. How we will do that? Let me delete this entry, so that I will just delete this entry and I'll use the other method to teach you guys. Okay, I will delete this entry. Okay, all right. Now the next thing I want to tell you is that what if you receive the advance. I want to show you now our balance sheet is with, we have opening balance of 1 million bank now in bank. Now we are receiving advance. First we will bill them, we will invoice them, and then we will receive the advance. So as per law, when we are invoicing for the advance, we have to charge the VAT as well. So what will be the journal entry, what will be the procedure? What you have to do is that if you are dealing with invoice for advance, what you will do, you will create one additional account in the chart of account as billing for advance account. Okay, as other current asset, billing for advance payment. Okay, save and close. Now you have to do the following entries. If you are receiving advance at the time of invoice, so let me mention one thing. If you want to learn implementation of QuickBooks Desktop in your construction companies or construction accounting, I have two more videos. One video is, if you go on Google and on YouTube and search how to do accounting for construction companies, you will see my video. The other video is journal entries for construction contracts. So these both, I will recommend that first you have to watch these two videos, and then if you will watch this full whole session, you will be able to master the construction accounting very much. So that's my recommendation. Anyway, let's proceed. So now you have to enter the journal entry. What I will do, debit, go to the company, make journal entry. I will debit first, billing for advance payment debit with 31,500 because I am billing him with 31,500, and project advance against projects account credit, and VAT output credit with 1,500, and it will be 30,000. So on 1st of July we have invoiced them for this amount. So you can write here invoice advance payment, invoice VAT on invoice for advance payment, and here you will select your project code 1122 1122 1122. Okay, click save and close. Yes, now if you go to the reports, company financial, in the balance sheet you can see that we have billing for advance payment account as 31,500. You can see over here, and similarly we have advance against project 30,000 and VAT output for 1,500. We have not received any money, so we have only 1 million. That was our opening balance in bank. Okay, and don't confuse, you have no income till that date because these are just billing for advance payment. Okay, so that's it. Now once you will actually receive, suppose on the 2nd of July you have actually received the amount, what will be the journal entries? Go to the company and make journal entry on 2nd of July. You have received 31,500. Debit what? Bank account will be debited, and what will be credit? What will be billing for advance account, billing for advance payment. You can write here received amount. Okay, and here you will, don't forget to mention your project 1122. Click save. Okay, now if you go to the reports, company financial, and the balance sheet, you can see that now our bank account has been increased with 31,500. On 1st of July, we have had only 1 million in our bank account. On the 2nd of July, we have received the amount 31,500 has been increased. On the 1st of July, we have an asset as billing, advance billing account. On the 2nd of July, that has been finished with and we have received the amount. So that is how we are dealing with the advance payment. Okay. Alright, now the mobilization advance will be deducted at the rate of 20% of the invoice value with each invoice. Okay, and if you want to see the status of the mobilization advance project wise, what you can do is that go to the reports, and in the reports go to the company financial and then click on balance sheet standard. From here, if you click on advance against project, and from here if you click on customer, then you will be able to see the mobilization advance status project and company wise. Okay, so if you have more than, you can see every advance status project wise, what is debit, what is credit, how much. Suppose this is 30,000, it may be reduced 25,000 or 20,000 after the adjustment with each invoice. Okay, now just do one thing, just click on memorize, and from here just you can save as mobilization advance status project wise and save it. Okay, alright, and then you can use it every time if you want to see the project wise status. Alright, now let's move forward. We have done this mobilization advance. Now let's proceed with our example. So we received this 20% mobilization advance, we entered it. Now we have started the expenses. So how we will do the expenses? Let's see. Suppose we paid some, go to the company, make journal entry. These are the just simple expenses. Material, we have just make material expense for 22,000. all right, material debit, and either payable or bank credit. I will pay by bank. Simple. You can write here material cost. Okay, material cost. You can give the full detail over here and your voucher number as well. Okay, detail, and here you will write your voucher number, and then here you have to write your project code. Don't forget to job cost. This is what the actual job costing is. You have to charge to that specific. Okay, and let's click save and close. All right, this was the one method. You have charged it. Okay, let's see. Go to the reports, company financial, balance sheet, profit and loss account standard, 2000 material has been charged. Let me correct the date. So suppose we paid this on 15th of July. Say, so this was just simple simple expense for 2000. We paid some material on site. Okay, now let's move out a little bit complicated. Suppose you have subcontracted a little part of that project to somebody as subcontractor cost. So how you will deal with that? Step number one is create that subcontractor as your vendor. Just go to the vendor, create here you can just write subcontractor. You can always start your subcontract with and then the name of the person or the company to whom you have subcontracted. Okay, now go to the and enter bills. Okay, and suppose he has performed the work, subcontractor cost of 5000. Just write 5000, and here please give the full detail of his nature of work. Okay, detail, and from here you will choose your project. Okay, and it will be directly go to your project. Okay, all right, and similarly you have also made some VAT input on this cost 5000. You can also 5000 and 2.05, so 250 will be VAT on invoice on bill. Select your 1122. Okay, and here will be the invoice number, whatever the date is, suppose on 16th of July. Okay. Now if you go to the reports, company financial, in the balance sheet, in the account payable, you can see that you have 5,250. you are supposed to pay that person. All right. And if you go to the reports, company financial, P&L, you have 5,000 has been charged to the as subcontractor cost. Okay. Now please keep in mind 5,250 will not be your cost, because 250 is your liability VAT output. Okay, if you see over here in the balance sheet, 250 you can see over here it has been deducted from your VAT output, that was from advance. Okay. All right, so this is how it will works. Now if you want to pay your bill, just pay your bill. Go to the vendor center, you want to pay, click on pay bills, and from here just select here, and you want to pay, you can select it from your bank here, pay the selected bill. That's it. On which date you have paid, suppose you have paid on 20th of July, pay bill, no problem. All right, done. Okay, this was the other way. You have also charged your subcontractor cost. Go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account. If you see over here, we have made material, we have charged. This was just simple material you have just purchased from on site and consumed it, not from your stock room. Okay, now I will move little bit more complicated. Suppose, now this is very important, and most of the people I come across, they have problem with this issue. They have their own stock and they want to charge it to the projects. Then they are confused. Their confusion is mainly, one of their confusion is that they try to include that material in their sale invoice. They says, okay, we consume 25 blocks, and then they try to mingle it with your sale invoice or your revenue invoice, because they are doing in kilometers and all the stuff. Number one, this is their first confusion. Second confusion is they literally don't know how to allocate the material to the projects in QuickBooks Desktop. On the conceptual wise they are okay, but as far as in the QuickBooks Desktop is concerned, they are not able to allocate to the projects, because if they want to create a vendor, they're confused, simply confused. So I will tell you with the help of this example, then it will be clear for you. Okay, now I have done this. I have done this material cost, and this was subcontractor 5,000 I take. Okay, now suppose first I will purchase some material and then I will allocate it to this project, and I will also allocate to the other project as well. Okay, so it will be clear for you as well. I will purchase some project and I will allocate to this project and see how it affects. Okay, this is a special tip. All right, let's purchase first. Go to the vendor, enter bill. Okay, and from here you will select the blocks. Suppose we have purchased, you will click on item, and from here you will select the blocks. Suppose you have purchased the blocks. You have purchased 1,000 or 10,000 blocks. Okay, and these blocks you will consume in different projects. Okay, now you will be wondering, if I write the customer, you will be wondering, if I select the project over here, it will directly goes to that project. No, it will not go. So don't worry. Why? Because this is your inventory item. It will go to your inventory. This is your inventory item. Okay, so it will not go directly to that project, so you better not to select. Or if you want to, even you will select, it will be just a reminder to you that maybe you have purchased for this project, but it will not be charged to that project. Okay, just click and save. Let me put a date. Yeah, we purchased this stock on 25th of July. Okay, and the reference number is this. Okay, and click save. Now if you go to the reports and the company financial, in the profit and loss account, there is nothing charged regarding this blocks. Now if you go to the reports, company financial and the balance sheet standard, you can see that your inventory asset has been over here with 150,000. okay, or even if you will charge VAT input as well, it will not affect. okay, 150,000, sorry, cost, let me change the value so that it is not. Okay, just click save and click on recalculate, so the amount is okay. Okay, excuse me. Okay, now if you see over here, our inventory asset is 120,000 and the VAT is also being charged here. okay, VAT effect. okay, reports, company financial and the P&L, you will not see anything regarding material. okay, one thing, you will not see whatever material we have purchased, what entry we have done or what entry has been made. Over here is inventory is debited, stock is debited and payable is credit. okay, nothing to do with the profit and loss account. okay, if you see over here, reports, company financial, balance sheet, here is your inventory. okay, here is your inventory and here is your payable. Inventory plus input is over here, these two, and this is your inventory that you are supposed to pay him. This is your first step. okay, go to the reports, company financial and here, sorry, in the inventory valuation by detail, you can see over here you have inventory of 8,000, quantity 15 is 1 and total value is 120,000. right now you have consumed this inventory to different projects. So how you will do that? Now if you want to charge the inventory to the project, what we will do, go to the vendor, click on inventory activities, click on adjust quantity value on hand, and from here you will select the date. okay, from here you will select the material, and from here you will select your project. Here blocks, how much blocks you want to charge, say 1000. okay, so now quantity 7 and 1000 has been 15,000 value is being charged to that project. okay, just click save and yes. Now if you want to go to reports, company financial, profit and loss account, here if you see, yeah, now if you see over here 17,000 has been charged to the material. Let's dig it out. If we dig it out, we will see that this 2,000 was the material that we purchased or we consumed by cash. okay, and then if you see that this 15,000 has been transferred from your stock inventory. okay, now let's see the detail. Go to the reports in the company financial, sorry, go to the inventory and inventory valuation detail, and from here you will see, you can see over here now you have had 8,000 items and 1,000 minus has been charged to this project. okay, this is the project, this amount 1,000 is charged to that project and this 7,000 is your remaining quantity. So that is very simple. Similarly, I will charge this material to some other account, some other project. okay, how? Just go to the reports, click on inventory activities, click on adjust quantity on hand, and from here you will select the material, again material, here you will select some other project. okay, and same way just click on your blocks, and this time you 6,500, you have charged only 500 blocks. okay, just click on save click on save. Now go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. If you see over here now, let me do it for all. If you see it now, as far as this project is concerned, 5,000, sorry, this 17,000 including the that material of 15,000, and as far as this project is concerned, we don't have any other expense except this allocation. Okay, and in the same fashion as I told you, just go to the inventory valuation detail. You can see the to which account how much we have allocated. Okay, from here you can see it here. To this project we have allocated 1000, to this project we have allocated 500, and this is your remaining valuation of your inventory. So all the things are, if you go to the reports, company financial, balance sheet detail, you can see over here your inventory valuation is being decreased because it has been charged to two project number 1122 and the other project. Okay, so this is being reduced. Okay, asset is being reduced to now expense out. Okay, all right, so yeah, I charged here 15,000, I think. Yeah, how many blocks? I think 1,000 blocks. Okay, similar in the same way you can do expenses for equipment and tools. Okay, let's see how much we have done our expenses for this project. Go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. We are following up with this project. Okay, 22,000. Let's do some more expenses. Okay, now this time let's do some expense. Now we have to do some expense for foreman salary. Okay, labor cost, that is very important. Now as far as labor cost is concerned, it is also a little bit tricky and critical. Okay, now you have to start type of labor. Suppose you have labor you just hire from the market, they do their work. That is very easy. What you will do, just go to the company, make journal entry or bill. You can treat them as a vendor. If somebody is providing you the labor, you can subcontractor or whatever, but simple way, just labor cost debit, and what is credit, payable or bank credit. This is the simple way. Okay, suppose 1,000 I took some work on site labor. Okay, and from here I will select my project. Okay, 1122, copy paste. Okay, now go to the reports, company financial, by job. If you see, now I have labor cost, I have material cost. In this material I have discussed both, if you are paying from your own stock room or if you are using outside. Okay, so there wouldn't be any confusion. Now then I have subcontractor cost. It's very easy, just make sub vendor and then enter the bill. We also done it. Labor cost to the project. If you make payroll, what does it mean? Suppose you have labor on your own visa, or you have labor which are working permanently with you. You have their contract with you and they are working on different projects. What you have to do even is that you have to create some timesheets, and from that timesheet you will know which labor or which worker has worked how many hours on which project. So in that case, how you will do that, I am gonna give you with the help of an example. Just go to the go to the company and make journal entry. Okay, and in that case do one thing, create, if you have labor, just go do one thing, go to list chart of account, and under the labor you can create their name. Okay, all the workers that are working with you. This is one simple method. I will recommend that method. Why I will recommend that method? Go to the company, make journal entry, because if you will not do that, then you don't have option over here, because here you will select your project. You cannot select the name of that particular labor. Okay, but if I will recommend this method. If you have more than 1,000 laborers, or you don't want to remember their name, then you can write the name of the labor in the memo section. Okay, now let's start with the labor. Suppose this is labor 1. Labor 1, 5,000. Labor 2, 2,000. And labor 3. Every time you will select here labor. Okay, and of course I think you should give a name. You will add all the names under this labor. Okay, if they are 150, even if it is more than that, I will recommend that do that. Then it will make your work easy. If they are permanent workers that are working with you, that might not be more than that, but if they are, if not, then you can write the name of over here as well in QuickBooks Desktop. Okay, and then suppose, yeah, I have 1,000 based on what? Based on their timesheet. Okay, suppose this was a labor 1, this was also labor 1, this is labor 2. So if this is labor 2, then this labor has done, let me give you a name. This name of this worker is Ali, and again I'll say again this is Ali. Okay, and this is somebody else. Suppose this name is XYZ. Okay, Ali has worked based on his calculation, based on his timesheet. He has worked worth 5,000 on labor on this project, and remaining on 2,000 on this project. So total salary for the Ali for this month is 7,000. Okay, when you are going to do this at the end of the July. And similarly the other labor XYZ has worked on 1122 as well. Okay, and from here you will debit payroll liabilities. Okay, and just click save. In this way you can also assign your labor cost, or this might not be your labor cost, this might be your other force, foreman, supervisor, and insurance, or other cost as well. So you can assign it to them. So go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. Now you can see that labor cost 6,000 has already been, 1,000 has already been charged to that particular labor as well. If you see over here, 1,000 was the particular labor that we paid on site, and 6,000 is from here. Why 6,000? Because 5,000 from this Ali is going to this project, and 1,000 from this labor is going to this project. So this is how you can also do job costing if you are doing what? Payroll. You are maintaining payroll for your workers or your laborers. Okay, I have a separate video. If you see, I think it's how to manage payroll, or how to, and that I have discussed in detail how you can do that as well. Okay, I will recommend to watch that video as well. Okay, as far as labor is concerned, we have both labor I have discussed. If the labor is on your own payroll, how you can do that. If you have just hired the labor from outside or some subcontractor, then how you will do that. Similarly, in the material, I also told you, if you have material directly you purchased and consumed in that the project, how you will do it. And if you are maintaining in your stock room and you are charging to different projects, then how you will do that. I also subcontracted, I also told you. Okay, one more thing. Suppose, as I told you in the beginning, if you see over here, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account, and you have some foreman salaries and all. other stuff, the overheads. So let's discuss this overhead as well. Okay, now go to the reports. How you will do, go to the company and make journal entry, and you paid some salaries for foreman salaries. Okay, 5,000. Okay, and let's assume we paid by bank, so to keep the thing simple. Okay, at this moment, this was one foreman. His name was ABC name. Okay, okay, as this foreman, again I will repeat, please listen to me, as this foreman was working on 2 to 3 projects, so what will I do? At this moment I am not allocating it to particular project. Okay, so I will just keep it as it is, just say, without allocating to any project. Now if you go to the reports, the company financial, the profit and loss account standard, go to the all. If you see over here, now my total expenses, how much? 43,500. Go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. If you see over here, now if I see for this specific project how much total cost I have incurred is 29,000. One more thing regarding this, if I see my company profit and loss account, it is correct, my total cost has been incurred 43,000. My question is, what about this 5,000? Because this foreman has also worked on that project as well. This foreman has also worked on our relevant project under discussion. If you see over here, that foreman which I have paid him 5,000 has also worked on that project as well. If you see over here, this project 1122, so we have to allocate that direct overhead or indirect cost to that project as well. Okay, so how we will do that? That has a very specific method. What is that specific method? I'm gonna tell you right now. Go to the list in the chart of account, just create one account as allocation account. It may be, make it an asset. Okay, allocation account, right? Okay, one more thing, please do this allocation of overheads at the end of some period of interval. You can do it after the end of every month, after the end of every quarter, after the end of 6 months, but I will recommend do it on monthly basis. So because if you have insurance cost, you can allocate it. If you have suppose you have one accommodation and all of your workers are staying over there and you have 5 projects, monthly accommodation rent will be allocated on some reasonable basis. What are those bases? You have to search it out, you have to Google, you have to find it out. On reasonable basis, you have to allocate those expenses to the specific projects. Okay, now at this moment I will allocate to show you the method. This foreman salary, this person has worked on 3 projects, suppose, so how I will allocate. Okay, the first step is I have created one account as allocation account, type other current asset in chart of account. This is first step. Second step is go to the company, make journal entry. Okay, these steps are very critical and very important. Debit what? Foreman salary, expense debit, allocation account credit. With how much amount? Suppose in our relevant project number 1122, he has worked for 1,000 only. How we come up with 1,000? We know that on time basis, on revenue basis, we have some basis, reasonable basis we have calculated. Okay, then again foreman salary is debit and allocation account credit. Okay, and he has worked 4,000 on the other project, worth 4,000 on the other project. You will not do it at the time of paying him salary at the time of your salaries or payment of salaries. Don't do that, because it will create a mess for you, it will create a problem for you, it will become too much complicated for you. Don't do that. At the time of booking your salaries, just simple book your salaries. At the time of payment of salaries, just pay your salaries. You will decide at the end of each month or at the end of each quarter, you just allocate all the overheads on some reasonable basis. Okay, at the time of entering your expense, at the first place, do not select any project like I did. When I was booking the salary of 5,000, I haven't selected any project because it was overhead. It was charged to different projects. So don't select at that time. However, at the time of allocating, at that time you have to be very specific and you have to select it. Okay, I am selecting 1,000 for this project 1122, which is the project, our project, and then the next, the other project 4,000 to the other project. Suppose this is the project 2233. Okay, and you will do it after a specific interval for allocation purpose. Allocate it. Okay, just click save. Okay, now if you see over here, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account, and reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. If you see over here, foreman salary of overhead has been allocated 1,000. If you see over here, and 4,000 to this project. Okay, and if you see, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job, my total expense is 43,500 as well, because I have charges. Anyway, one more thing, if you see over here, we have allocation account with negative 5,000. Okay, here. Okay, now this is our intermediary account. This allocation account is, I have just created one account as an intermediary account to allocate the overhead expenses. Okay, so I have to remove this 5,000. Okay, just go to the, open this account, quick report, open it and click, I will just add and remove. Okay, now you have to click on reverse. Once you clicked on reverse, then the next important thing that you have to do is remove the allocated projects from here. Okay, I will recommend is just don't just remove, just cut from here and paste it here, cut from here and paste here, so that you could know that to which project you have allocated this. Okay, just click save. Now if you see over here, this has become 0, and again if you see, close and by job, your allocation has already been done. As I told you, our area of concern is this project, and also I have made some expenses in other projects as well, so that you can know that like this, and in this allocation purpose I have this, so everything is correct. Let me quickly recap this allocation process for overheads. So how you will do it? Number one, when you are recording, at the time of recording overheads, just record, don't mention or allocate to the projects, allocate to projects, leave the empty projects, do not write any project name. Okay, at the time of original recording, then you can, without recording, you will book the expenses and pay the expenses, book the liability, whatever. Okay, step number 2 is create an account as allocation account. Okay, step number 3 is make journal entry. In that journal entry, what you will do, let me show it to you now. Step number 3 is make journal entry and mention the project. From here you will mention, don't forget to mention Don't forget, here you have to mention the project because you are allocating. What you will do, you will debit expense account which you are allocating and mention the project, and credit this allocation account, okay, with project. These are the steps. What is the last step then? The step number 4 or last step is, then in the last step what you will do is that you will just reverse the entry. Without writing the project in project section. So automatically all the allocation will be done. So this was a tip for allocating the overheads. Simple to write, is simple to understand, is that at the time of recording the overheads, don't mention. Then at the time of allocating, mention the project, and then reverse it without mentioning the project. Okay, you can always pause this video, you can just rewatch it, and then you will be easily understand, because I have done with an example. So if you watch it multiple times, 2 or 3 or 4 5 times, you will easily understand the concept. Okay, so this is how overheads are allocated in QuickBooks Desktop for a particular project. Alright, now before proceeding forward, let me give you a tip for allocation of the expenses. Okay, there are 3 kind of expenses that you will come across while implementing QuickBooks for your construction contracts. Number 1 is the direct expenses. I have discussed in detail how you will, like the material, labor, you already know at the time of entry, at the time of entering first place, you know that to which project it belongs. How you will allocate them? Simply by writing the project at specific place, okay, which is provided. And if it is general entry, in the name column you will select the project, or any other place. If you are entering the invoice where you will enter, there is a place. Okay, this is the first thing. Second kind of expenses are, they are also direct expenses, but their value is apportioned between some other project expenses as well. This can happen here as well, but I have just separated it for the sake of understanding. Suppose in case of labor, one labor is working on multiple projects, and you have timesheet available. Again, you have timesheets available at the time of entry. So what you will do, again, you will enter 2 or 3 project in compound entry, project 1, project 2, project 3, exact amount. So no allocation account that I have just showed you in QuickBooks will be used in this case. No allocation account, and in this case, okay, in both of these cases you will not use the allocation account that I have used, the temporary account, which will become 0 after the adjustments. Now, as far as third type is concerned, this is also indirect expense. As far as third type of expense is concerned, it is overhead or indirect expense. In this case, you have some expenses that you have to allocate. Now you have to listen to me very carefully. You have to, if you directly know, suppose you have some expense incurred which is overhead, and you directly know that 50 belongs to one project and 50 belongs to other project. You direct at the time of entry, you knows that, you know. So no need to involve the allocation account. Just charge 50 to one account, 50 to one project and 50 to other project. Your problem is solved. Okay. Now there are some expenses. Suppose in our case, which I have just recently discussed, suppose you have a foreman salaries and you are not maintaining any time sheets. They are just working on multiple projects at the same time. It is very difficult to have some timesheet available for any project. So it's very difficult. So what you do, you just prepare salaries at the end of the month and you pay them, but you have to allocate them. So you have booked the salaries at the end of the month, you have paid the salaries without charging to the project. Okay, at that time, at the time of original entry, what you will do at the end of the month, You will do this entry at the end of the month also, but at any time you will sit down, you will allocate and do the allocation entry that I have just told you by using the allocation account. Okay, and that allocation account will become zero. I have discussed in detail. So these were the tips. I hope now this allocation thing will be 100% clear for you without any confusion. Okay, now let's proceed for our example. Now in our example, let's see here reports, company financial, P&L by job. We will go to reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. If you see over here, we have this started this project and we have incurred expenses about 30,000. Okay, now what happened is that now it's time has came to invoice them. How we are invoicing them? If you see IFRS 15, as far as construction contracts are concerned, they are treated as the contract on which a revenue is recognized over a period of time. Okay, in over a period of time, you have to recognize the revenue on percentage of completion. Okay, in percentage of completion you have two methods, input method and output method. Input method I have a separate video, just see, you will completely see that. And then there is output method. In output method we recognize the revenue based on work certified or output produced. So our engineer has told us that we have performed a work of 50,000. How we have performed the work of this 50,000? We don't know. Our engineer know. He has just calculated number of units multiply by number of miles or what number of output produced or whatever the purpose is. Okay, so this is our first progressive invoice of 50,000 based on work certified by the engineer. Okay, so customer, click on create invoice, and here you will select your project for which project you are making the invoice. We are making for our project code is 1122 here. Okay, then this window will pop up because we have recorded here, and here you will create invoice. Just click OK. Now what I do is that I just click 100%, but we have right here amount 50,000. it will be automatically adjusted. Okay, this output has the QuickBooks has automatically apportioned as 50%. You just do one thing, go to edit and delete this line. Okay, how the VAT will be implemented on this invoice, we will see it just in a moment, in a very complete way. Okay, let's see one by one. Okay, so this is the amount of work we have performed. All right, the next thing is that if you remember, we have received advance against this project. If you remember, project advance, we have already entered 30,000. Okay, now this is 20%. Mobilization advance is 20%. So this 20% means with each invoice 20% of this invoice value will be deducted from the advance. Okay, this advance, if you go over here, go reports, I have just memorized reports. If you remember, mobilization advance, if you see over here, we have mobilization advance of 30,000. this is our liability. Okay, this is our liability because we haven't earned it yet, but as per understanding or as per our contract, 20% will be deducted with each invoice. Okay, so we will deduct the 20%. Here you will write advance against project. If you remember, I have already created one item as advance against project, and it was linked with the project advances in the balance in the chart of account. So how I did it, you already know that. Just write minus 0.2 and here write 50,000 because the amount is 50,000. You will write this amount over here. Okay, similarly now we have to enter the retention here as well. We have to reduce the amount of retention from the invoice as well, but we are unable to do it because we haven't created any item for retention. So how you will record the retention in QuickBooks Desktop for a progressive invoice, I'm going to show you now. First step is go to the list in the chart of account, create one account as retention receivable. I think there is already made, yeah, retainage receivable with other current asset. Okay, let me show you. You will create one account as other current asset retainage receivable. This is your first step. Okay, save and close. The next step is go to the list. In the item list, you will create one retention account. Let me see if already created, then I will delete it. Just delete this item, delete this item, and click on item, click on new, and here you will select other charge. Okay, other charge, and here you will write a retention. Okay, and the most important thing is you have to connect or link this account with the retention receivable account in the chart of account. Retention receivable account in the chart of account. Just click OK. Alright, now let's move for here. You will just write retention, your retention will come up. Okay, and here just write minus 0.1 because retention is how much? 10%. Okay, and here you will write 50,000. Okay, now retention has been reduced, and here you have to create one more item as subtotal. Okay, just go to add new, and here you will write subtotal. Okay, and here you will write subtotal. Okay, now you will come up with this 35,000. Now you have to implement VAT on this amount, this 35,000. Let me explain it to you a bit more. Why on this remaining amount 5% VAT? Why? Because as far as advance is concerned, we have already charged the VAT at the time when we received. If you remember, haven't we received 30,000? 30,000 was the advance, and we have received 31,500. So we have already received the advance. So why we would charge the VAT? We already received the advance, and we have already received the VAT amount. So if we have already received, we will not charge again. So that is why I am charging VAT on this balancing amount. So we have already received, so that is why I was deducting, number one. Number two, as far as retention is concerned, this 5,000, if you remember, we will charge VAT in future. When number one, if we actually receive the retention, at that time we will receive VAT as well, or at the time of invoicing, whichever comes earlier, we will charge the VAT. So we are gonna charge the VAT on this remaining amount. One additional point I want to discuss with you at this point is that, if you remember, I have a separate video how to set up VAT in QuickBooks Desktop. In that video, VAT amount will come over here. That arrangement of VAT in QuickBooks Desktop does not work for construction companies. So that is why in the beginning, when I was setting up the VAT for construction companies specifically, I told you that this is being done due to some reason. That was the reason. So if I would have used that procedure, I wouldn't be able to charge the VAT on this 35,000. That was becoming difficult because of this and this. So now I can charge the VAT on this remaining amount. Just write here VAT output, or you can just write VAT, and you will get the amount 36,750. Okay, and we have done this invoice on, say, 31st of let's say 15th of September. Okay, just click save. Now this is the first invoice that we have entered in QuickBooks Desktop. Okay, now let's see their effects. Okay, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account first. You will see over here 50,000 revenue has been recorded. This is correct. Okay, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. You can see over here 50,000 revenue. Okay, number one, this is correct. Number two, let's check the amount of mobilization advance. Is it adjusted or not? What happened to that? If you see over here, your mobilization advance was 30,000 and it has been reduced by 10,000, and now the remaining amount is what? 20,000. And you can get it if you have multiple projects, you will get project wise report as well. This is done. Next step is, let's see how about the retention. If you see in the balance sheet, you can see over here account receivable is 36,750, okay, and retainage receivable is 5,000, okay. So it is correctly recorded, okay. Now we will do a final reconciliation as well. Once our project is finished, we will see either we have correctly recorded everything or not, so that you can fully understand. All right, so we have proceeded. Now let's do some other expenses. I will not do that much in detail now, and then let's invoice a second, and then before year close and the other, in the moving to the other year, there is some thing called we have done the work but we haven't invoiced. How we will treat that, but let's do it now. Okay, let me make just one expense in the month of company, make general entry. So suppose I will just make one labor 5,000. Okay, so these were the expenses in the before next invoice. Okay, just we did on 30. Here bank, let me pay by bank, so make simple. You will, and here I will allocate that. Save and close. All right, now we see over here, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss by job. Our expenses have been increased with 74,000, but we haven't invoiced yet. So let us go for the second invoice. Our engineer said that on, let's say October, that we have performed the work of 55,000. Okay, let's do the entry for the second invoice. It's very simple. Just go to the customer, create invoice on which date? On say 15th of October. Okay, and you will, here you will select your project and click OK, and just create invoice here. Okay, and here just write the amount of, I will recommend again as per my recommendation, delete this line because we are treating VAT in different way. Just write the amount as per our work performed. Okay, this is the amount of work we performed. Okay, 55,000. Similarly, we will reduce the amount of what? Mobilization advance, and similarly we will reduce the amount of retention. We will do it. Here you will write 55,000. Here you will write 55,000. 55,000, and here this is minus 0.2 because it's 20%. Here it is minus 0.1. Okay, 10%. So then here you will make subtotal, and you will charge VAT on this amount, VAT 5%. So this is the amount 40,000. So this is how you will make the second invoice. In the similar way, I have explained each and everything with the first invoice in detail, and you will write description over here and all the fill out all the things. Okay, on which date we make the second invoice? On say 15th of October. Okay, just click save and close. Let's see if the answer is coming correct. Yes, 40,000 to 40,025 and everything is correct. Just click save and close. Let's have quickly look on all our reports, company financial, memorize reports, and mobilization advance detail. Yes, it is done. Okay, the rest of the things are, you can see in the balance sheet as well. Go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. If you see over here, revenue has been booked with 50,000, 55,000, correct. Expenses are correct. And then if you go to the reports, company financial, and the balance sheet, you can see here account receivable has been booked correct. 36,750, 40,245, 425. If you see over here, yes. And similarly, if you see retention 5,000, okay, it's already correct. And again, let me show you one thing. Where is mobilization advance liability? Yes, you can also see it from here. If you don't want to memorize and see, you can see from here as well anytime. Okay, all right. Now year 2020 is about to finish. Okay, we have not invoiced to the client, but we have already performed a work of 20,000. How we will deal with that? Okay, this is important. We have performed the work of 20,000, but we haven't invoiced yet. Okay, this 20,000. Okay, it's ready, work is ready, but we haven't invoiced. So how we will treat it? What we are going to do is that this is our, as per work certified method, as per output method IFRS 15, we have to recognize this 20,000 as our revenue. So on 30th of September, what I'm going to do is that I will go to the customer and company and make a journal entry for this 20,000. Okay, let me do some more expenses so it makes sense, because then we will see how our project is working. Labor, we have performed work, labor, material, all right. Okay, just save it. Okay, as at 31st of December 2020, I have performed a work of 20,000 as per my engineering department, as per my survey report, as per my reports, but we were unable to invoice it to the client. Okay, so but this is our work, we have produced the output. So as per output method, we have to record this as an revenue and asset as well. So how we will do that? On 31st of December, I will make one entry, go to the company and make journal entry. And what I will do, I will make entry 31st of December, work in, I think it's construction in progress, debit, and project revenue from projects credit with 20,000. I will make this entry. Okay, and here I will write work performed but not yet invoiced. Okay, and here you will select your project. All right, copy, paste, and then save it. Yes. Okay, now if you see over here, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job. If you see over here, your project revenue for this year is 125,000. Okay, if you dig it down, you can see over here you have recognized the revenue for 50,000. You have invoiced, you have performed the work and invoiced. You have performed the work and you have invoiced. Here you have performed the work but you haven't invoiced only. So this is the total revenue that you have earned during the year 2020. Okay, now let's see what happens now for in the year 2021. Okay, now what you will do in the year 2021, suppose now we have invoiced in the year 2021 after incurring some expenses in year 2021 as well. You will just go to, let me add some more expenses, go to the company, make journal entry. Okay, now the concept is that in the March you have made another invoice for 45,000. Okay, but this 45,000 invoice includes the amount of work done in 2020. As far as year 2020 is concerned, our revenue is correctly recorded because this 20,000 belongs to year 2020. This 20,000 belongs to year 2020 and we have correctly recorded it by making journal entry as you have saw now. But as far as this invoice is concerned, this includes the amount of this 20,000. So how we will deal it? Let's see. Now, first of all, you have to do the invoice. As just go to the customer and create invoice. On which date we are creating invoice? We are creating invoice on, suppose, 31st of March. This is the third and last invoice. Here you will select your project project number. Okay. Okay. Just write edit, delete. What is the amount of? This is 45,000. Okay, mobilization advance advance against project, retention. Okay, here you will write 45,000. How much is the mobilization advance? Minus 20%, minus 10%, and here you will know subtotal, and here you will charge the VAT output, and 33,750 will be your answer. Okay, just click save and close. We'll do a reconciliation as well, don't worry. Okay, now if you go to the reports, our project has finished. If you go to the reports, profit and loss account, let me do it also, we can know that. If you see over here, our project shows that 170,000 of revenue. How come? Our project is 150 and it is showing 170 revenue. Why? Because 20,000 revenue is doubled. It has been, we have recorded 20,000 because we performed the work in year 2020, we have recorded it, and that was done by ourselves. But at the time of invoicing to the customer, we have invoiced them for 45,000, which includes the work of both year 2020 and year 21 as well. So what now, to come up out of this problem, what we have to do is that I will just do a reversal entry. Go to the one more thing, just go to the list, chart of account, or you can do is that just go and open that entry and just click the reverse. Click on reverse and change the date. Which date you have? On the same date, which you have invoiced, you have to make the reversal of this entry. On the same date on which you have invoiced the last invoice, you have to reverse the entry. Not in your 2020, you have to reverse it, and the other year on which you have actually invoiced for the amount that you have work done. This 20,000 work amount has already been included in the invoice of this 45,000. Okay, that is why I am reversing it. Okay, just click save and close. If you go now and see, go to the reports, and if you see over here, 150,000 is your project income recognized, and your all other things are correct. Okay, and we have completed it. This is our revenue. Let's see how revenue has manifested. If you see over here, I have 55,000 includes the amount of work this, so I have reduced it from it. So net amount or net balance or total revenue that I have recognized during the whole the project is 150,000. I hope you understand it. Okay, now let's move on for the reconciliations. Let's see one by one all the reconciliations. First of all, we have to check we have correctly recorded our income or not. This is important. Don't leave this session, because then you will know that how, if we have done it correct or not. Then we will go for the reconciliation then we will go for the retention as well. So this was the revenue. So let's see, revenue we have already seen, we have correctly recorded 150,000, so that is correct. The next thing is expenses. We have already recorded, no more detail for expenses is required. We have already recorded, we have allocated in detail. I have already discussed everything, so expenses are correct. Now coming to the point of VAT, this is important, you have to look at here. Okay, let's move for the VAT. Go to the reports, company financial, and in the balance sheet you can see over here VAT output. Okay, now I have only one project. You just click over here, and from here you can sort it out by the project wise as well. Okay, now if you see over here how much VAT I have claimed from them or I have actually received, this 15,000 I have already claimed from them. I have also actually received, but at this point we are reconciling. Have we claimed the total amount of VAT for the project or not? That is the problem. Okay, how much is 1,500? Okay, with the advance amount, if you remember. Then with one invoice 1750, when the second invoice 1950, and there is another invoice as well for the next year was, and again it is 1575. How much it is? 6750. Okay, 6750. 6750. If you remember, how much is our total VAT? that we are supposed to claim from them is 7,500. So this minus this. How much is remaining? 750. Why it is remaining? If anybody can answer it, or if anybody has an idea why this difference, let me tell you. This difference of 750 is retention amount. We have just reduced the original amount of retention, but we will charge this VAT either we actually receive this amount of retention or at the time of invoicing for that retention. Okay, I will do it in a moment. Okay, so after charging this 750, our this plus once we will charge the 750, so this will be reconciled. Okay, so your VAT will be reconciled after we will invoice for retention or we will actually receive for retention. Okay, VAT is done. Now let's go for the advance. What happened to our advance? Let's see the list in the chart of account. You can see over here mobilization advance, where it is, advance against project. It's our liability somewhere here. Yes, right click here, and if you see over here, just quick report, credit. All right, you can see over here 30,000 advance, you have credit balance as a liability, then 10,000 reduced from first invoice, 11,000 from second invoice, and 9,000 from the third invoice at the rate of 20%. Now how much is the balance? 0, because our project is finished, so we are done with that as well. So okay, so our mobilization advance is also reconciled. Now let's go for the retention. Receivable, and then we will go for the retention. Okay, go to the reports, company financial and balance sheet. I haven't received any amount in cash for the progressive invoice. Deliberately I haven't entered so that we can know that. Okay, now let's go for the account receivable. If you see over here, we have account receivable. How much we have booked it? How much is the total amount? 110,250. Okay, write it down. How much? 110,250. And how much we have received in advance? 31,500. Okay, how much is the total? This plus this. So how much we have invoiced them? This much we have progressive invoiced them. If you see over here, okay, this much we have progressively invoiced them. If you see over here in the balance sheet, okay, in the balance sheet we have invoiced them how much? 110,250 for the all the project. Now I am doing reconciliation for all the project. Okay, and this much we have already received in advance. Okay, and what about the retention? We have already separated the amount of retention from the progressive invoice. We have already charged them as receivable. If you see over here, 15,000. So let me add 15,000 as well. Now if you total it, this plus this plus this is how much? 156,750. How much we were supposed to receive from them all in all, including retention, including VAT and everything. This minus how much? 157,500. Anybody can tell me this, what is this 750? It's the same amount of this 750. The retention, VAT on retention we haven't charged yet. Once we will invoice, we will charge it and we will receive it. So don't worry about that. So then our account receivable is also reconciled. Now let's move forward for the retention. If you see over here, retention, with each and every progressive invoice we have reduced the amount of retention, reduced the amount of retention, reduced the amount of retention. Okay, now at the time of making invoice or actual payment received of in retention, we will charge the VAT as well. Okay, now so this is 15,000 and 750 will be the VAT on this retention. Okay, so let's move forward for the retention. Now the last thing is retention regarding our reconciliation. Let's charge the retention. Suppose we have invoiced them for the retention and we will receive it. How we will do it? If you have directly received the retention, you will receive the retention of the project is approved after 6 months. Let's say I will make only one entry to make the thing simple, okay, to just wrap this up. Otherwise you can make three entries, 1 2 3 entries, okay. So there are two options. What options are available? One option is, or what understanding is, without any invoice they send to the retention, or you just verbally said them, okay, send us retention, but don't forget to ask for VAT. You have to charge the VAT as well. The other method is you have to invoice them. You are invoicing them. So at the time of invoice you have to enter the retention VAT as well. So if you are receiving without invoicing, what entry you are going to do, you can make 3 entries or 1 entries. It depends upon the nature of payment. So just go to the company, make journal entry, what you will debit and what you will credit. Debit bank account, okay, with 15,750, and credit what? Accounts retainage receivable, and credit what? VAT output with 750. Okay, once you will make this entry, what will happen here? You will, don't forget to select your project. I will do this entry and I will delete this entry to make you understand if you are going for invoicing what you will do. Okay, suppose you have received this retention amount in the month of June, 30th of June. Okay, just click save and close. Okay, now if you see over here, your retention has been removed, okay, and your VAT account will be increased now. Okay, you have, if you see over here now, our reconciliation, how much, this much you have already charged them, this much you received in advance, this much you have charged with the retention, but how much you have received, this plus 750. So now how much you received total is equal to this plus this plus this, okay, sorry, this plus this should include the amount is equal to this plus 750, okay, 157,500, 157,500, here it is. Yes, so your project is reconciled. Okay, if you see over here, go to the reports company, your retention is removed. If you see over here, list chart of account, retainage receivable, here is your detail. You have received 15,000, you have booked 15,000, you have received 15,000. If you go to the reports company financial balance sheet standard and in VAT output just by project, because you may have other project as well, if you see over here, now VAT is also reconciled with 7,500. Okay, now what I am going to do is that, please look at here, what I am going to do is that just for you to have an alternative procedure as well to understand, I will delete this entry. I have deleted this entry. Okay, now I will make you understand if you have to go by the method of invoicing for retention, how you will do that. Okay, for that you have to create one account as billing for retention. If you in the chart of account, create one account as billing for retention account as other current asset, billing for retention account. Okay, click save and close and make journal entry, company, make journal entry, and at that time you will also book the VAT as well. Billing for retention account debit with how much amount? 15,000 plus 750 VAT. And what will be the credit? Because you have already retainage receivable account with the balance of 15,000 if you remember. Okay, and VAT output for the 750 also credit. Please write the detail over here. Detail, and here you don't forget to select your project. Okay, now click save and close. Reports, company financial, and the balance sheet. you can see that you have now on, if you can see that you have billing for retention account with 15,750, and also your VAT output is 7,500 already completed, if you see over here. Okay, now you have received this amount. After the billing, what you will do, just make journal entry, company, make journal entry, bank debit. Suppose you have received on 1st of July 2021, bank debit, and what is credit? Billing for retention credit with 15,750. Okay, and don't forget to mention your project. All right, now your project has finished and everything is reconciled as well. If you see, go to the reports, company financial, profit and loss account, all your revenues this much. Okay, if you go and see reports, company financial, profit and loss account by job, let's see all. Yeah, your revenue is 150,000, net profit and everything is reconciled and everything. If you go to the reports, company financial, profit and balance sheet standard, if you see over here, you will not see what you have receivable, this 110,250. Once you will receive, it will also go to the bank. Okay, you have your VAT output is 7,500 and your mobilization advance and retention is also completed. If you see mobilization advance, let's have a look at mobilization advance, has already consumed. Similarly, your retention receivable, if you see over here, retaining receivable is also 15,000 consumed. So that is how we have entered all the project for you, and we have already reconciled it, and everything is correct and right as per accounting principles. Okay, all right, so we have done this, we have reconciliation. Yes, we have reconciled it. How to receive amount, we have done this. Reporting, I have been doing it with each and every entry. Now, how to create backlog. Backlog report is a report in which you compare how much available work versus how much you have performed the work and how much work is remaining with you. Simple words. Okay, so for that, just go to the reports and click on job and mileage and click on job estimate versus actual summary. Okay, and then customize report, remove this and click OK. Then go on customize reports and in the filter, make sure that you select this all equity and income expense and click OK. Now if you see there, here we have had this much work, and this is we have already recognized. So at the moment we don't have work. Okay, let me remove this estimated cost thing as well. There is this thing. Yeah, now if you see over here, we have had this much work, we have performed this much work, and now we don't have any work. Okay, so similarly, if you have multiple projects, once you will memorize this report as backlog, and anytime you can see the status of your work. So that's it. I'm just signing off. So I hope you like this video. Please click the subscribe button for me if you haven't subscribed yet, and share it with your friends because they might be needing it. It might help you. And do comment me a motivating comment for me, so it will help me to make more videos like that. I hope it will help you. Stay blessed and be happy. Thank you very much. Take care.